Hello, this is Nicholas, and I do a daily astrology and tarot horoscope video. And when I was looking around YouTube's at similar videos to what I do, I came across this awesome sort of a survey by Avalon Spiritual Odyssey on that YouTube channel, and the woman is very nice, very positive and uplifting, and it's all about just answering questions about your experience with the tarot. And I thought it was right up my alley. I was really excited to hear about it. I think it builds a community. It's very connecting and just a very positive thing to do. And her, like, I don't know if you want to call it a confessional, or her answer to her 29 questions was is very insightful, and it makes you think about your own process a lot more. So I think it's a great practice to do. I think it's going to make me a better tarot reader. And it's also, I can't wait to start looking at the other people's videos who submitted to her video. It's basically a tag video where she's answered her own 29 questions, and she's asking you to tag her and create your own video and share your video with her and others. So I will definitely send a link to her page on my video, and I will answer these questions. I think this process of 29 questions is also very great because it's kind of like a mini journal. It's a video log journal that you can go back. It's probably something you should do once a year, maybe even once every 6 months, and just kind of reflect how you've grown or changed in your views into some of these topics and areas. So, without further ado, I will go over the questions. Question 1: what initially drew you to the tarot, and how old were you? I can't really say what initially drew me to the tarot. I mean, of course, it's always been in the conscious around pop culture and everything else. A friend in high school read tarot cards, but even though I had a lot of respect and liking for my friend, I think he wasn't very good at it at the time. But I liked him, and it didn't draw me away from the tarot, that experience. What nailed nailed it for me, and really getting into the tarot, knew that I was going to explore it more, was receiving my grandmother's deck, my deceased grandmother's deck. I received her crystal ball and her Rider-Waite Deck, and it's this old deck from like the 70s or 60s that she had of hers, and I don't use that deck because it's my grandma's deck. It's just kind of like, it feels like a rite of passage, a more symbolic thing, and after that, I tried to subscribe to the superstition that you couldn't buy your own deck, so I waited for a long time, and I finally got a Rider-Waite deck gifted to me at work, of all places, because I worked in the movie industry in Hollywood, and it was actually a Rider-Waite deck that was made for Sherlock Holmes Part 2, and it was just kind of like swag from like promotions for the movie, and I had gotten that free deck. So anyway, so what drew me to tarot? I was 30 years old when I got into it and I started doing it. I must have been around 30 years old, because it was around 2011 that I got my grandmother's deck, and now here we are, 3 years later, and it's 2014, and I've been doing tarot ever since. When did you acquire your first personally tarot deck? When did I first personally acquire a deck? So I got rid of that superstition, and I purchased, I don't know, what was my own purchased deck? I bought a zombie deck. I don't know, nothing super significant. I don't know. It's not, all these decks have come into my life and I can't remember. I can tell you right now, the deck that I want to buy, that I'm seeing everywhere, is the Wild Unknown. I want to buy that deck, and there's an accompanied book. The deck's $40, and the company book is $20, and I definitely want it. It's so beautiful. I love the woman's story of who makes it. It's very reminiscent of my own, how she was playing in bands and doing music. I was in that same field, and then she found yoga and started exploring the spiritual path. In fact, just her story and seeing that deck makes me want to learn how to draw and make my own deck. But in terms of buying decks, I can't even remember if the Osho tarot deck was given to me or not, but that's a very important deck to me. And then the Thoth deck is a deck that I recently bought and is important to me. Oh, I need to grab something. Sorry. Okay, so question 4. Are you a fan of the Rider-Waite system or the Thoth system? I'm not a fan of any systems. I mean, the tarot deck is a device brought about that I'm supposed to use to help other people answer questions, gain clarity, get insights, make plans, just to be of service. And so the Rider-Waite Deck system I love because it's a very great way of getting stories down. It's a great storyteller. There's people in the cards, and they're doing things and taking actions, and you can build a great narrative with that. So I love that. The Thoth deck is so much more subtle and so much more deep and penetrating, and I can't understand the pictures right off the bat or all the different images and meanings behind it. I think it's less accessible, but at the same token, it's a challenge that I'm up for. I'm doing the Thoth deck. I'm picking a card a day with it, and so I don't choose one over the other. I just think that the Rider-Waite is a storyteller, and it's great for me because of that. The Thoth deck is it's a challenge. I'm going to have to read the book. I purchased the Thoth book. I'm going to have to read this 200-page book probably to understand the deck to its fullest potential. I do like some of the astrology symbolism in the Thoth deck that I don't quite see as implicit in the Rider-Waite deck. There's like Saturn in Leo, and there'll be symbolism for that. So I like that in the Thoth deck. What type of tarot reader are you? I don't know. I mean, I want people to understand the scenario they're in a truthful manner. I want to be as kind and as generous and giving as possible. I want to be as sweet and lighthearted about it, to be quite honest. I mean, sometimes news is hard. I struggle with that because, you see things in the cards, and it's like, how do you break it to the person in just the right way they need to hear it? So that's still something I'm learning and working through. So I think I'm a gentle reader, but it also depends on the person I'm reading for and their energy and how I feel I can break the news to them. But I seem to err on a very gentle side. Do you use tarot for pathworking, meditation, and manifestation? I don't. No. I think it could be used for that. It's very hard for me to use the tarot personally for me. I like doing weekly spreads or time-based spreads, like I could do a monthly spread. It's really hard for me to use it for manifestation, like these types of things, because tarot for me is so much more about helping others. I'm just too marled up in my own stuff to do readings and those types of things for myself. So meditation, I guess I do use tarot for meditation, because when I pull a card of the day, I think about that card, and what I find for me is if I'm having a question or if I'm thwarted in the day and I'm struggling on how to act or what to do, I think back on my card of the day, and that usually gives me the answer and what I need to proceed with. At least that's what I'm finding right now. Do I do daily draws? I do. It's kind of been tweaking my process in the last few weeks because I'm doing a daily astrology and tarot video, and so the card that I pull every day in that video is the card for me as well. That card is for me and anybody who synchronistically decides to come to my video and watch it. It's not something separate. I don't do a separate reading for me. So, but with doing my video, I'm finding that people really like to get a weekly spread before the week starts. So I've started pulling 7 cards, ahead of time. And so every day I have my card of the day, and I reflect on it and I put it in my journal. But I guess I'm kind of out of the process of physically drawing that card every day. Now I'm doing a weekly forecast ahead of time. But I think if you're ever learning a deck, a card of the day is the most essential way to learn how to use a deck. Do you utilize a tarot journal, and if so, what's the benefits of a tarot journal in your opinion? I do not have a tarot journal that's exclusively for tarot. I journal every single day. In my journal, I have a heading. I do a small kind of like heading. I'm more into astrology, and I study astrology. So in my heading, I always talk about the moon phase, where the sun is, where the moon is in accordance to my house system for my chart. In my journal, I say where the sun is in my chart, and then I do my 2 cards of the day that I'm doing now. The process I have now, I draw 1 Osho card of the day. I love the Osho deck. I love Osho, 20th century mystic. I love all his books. I've read them so many times, I've forgotten them. I love Osho, but and I love his deck. Our deck made by one of his disciples, inspired by Osho and his talks and his lectures. But and then yeah, so my journaling is I journal the Osho card of the day and I journal my Thoth card of the day, but I don't specifically. I do think there's a huge benefit to making a journal, and just reading that question prompts me to think it's something that I need to add to my practice. But I don't have an exclusive tarot journal, no. But I do put the cards in my journal every day. What would you consider? Would you consider yourself a tarot collector, or do you stay true to 1 or 2 decks only? I'm too green to be a tarot collector. I do have probably like 6 or 7 decks, but in terms of what do I use, I mean, right now I'm trying to learn the Thoth deck, so I do a card a day with that, and I just really have a resonance and love and feeling for the Osho deck. But I'm not a collector yet. I hope I don't become one. It's just so expensive. But I still want that wild unknown deck so bad. How do you BOD with the deck? I don't know. I think BOD is like, how do you bond with the deck, or how do you do you smudge it? I'm not necessarily sure of the vocab on question 9 here, but like I use stones. I love crystals, and I work with crystals so much. If I do an astrology reading, I love to give people crystals that resonate with them at that moment in time. So I know what it's like to energetically work with crystals and things, but I do not do anything specific with tarot decks. My thoughts on tarot decks is it's not a physical relationship. It's not, I don't know how to explain it. I respect the decks, I care about them, and I keep them safe and clean, but I don't, at the end of the day, they're cards, and to me, the relationship with the deck isn't anything physical or energetic. It's about me continually working with that deck and visiting with that deck like a dear friend. And the more that I see the images of that deck, the better my rapport and relationship with that deck is. The more that I work with that deck, it's like me having this, it sounds cheesy, like just a deep and penetrating friendship with this person that I want to talk to every day. And so for me, I don't do any bonding or smudging or energy stuff physically with the deck. But what I do is I try to do those cards of the day and use the decks and be very caring with it. Do you cleanse, bless, empower, etc. your decks? I think I answered that with question 9. I do not. Do you adhere to any tarot superstitions? I don't. I used to not buy my own decks, and then I got rid of that. I haven't found it to be impactful. Life is synchronistic, and even if something's dark and hard for you to deal with, sometimes you just need to face it down and go with it. I really believe, even Yogananda, who understood astrology, would say, there's some quote with him saying basically, if the astrological time was bad and my master knew it was bad, he would listen to that advice, but he would still use his free will to pursue something he really desired. And maybe that situation was 20 times harder than it needed to be, but at the end of the day, you still can to push forward through anything you want. And so, I don't know, none of the decks that I've bought have ever had any negative experiences, so I have no superstitions. I try to be as ritualistic as I can. I try to do my card of the day in the morning. I try to cut the cards in the same way, but once again, life to me is about being spontaneous and in the moment and doing what's needed for the moment. So I don't adhere to any strict, rigid rules. To me, it's, you got to do the right thing the right way at the right time every time. And that's what it means to be enlightened. And so sometimes your rituals can hinder that, I believe. Do you integrate significator cards into your readings? And significator cards, from all my experience with tarot readings, I believe is when you pick a card that symbolizes something for the reading, then you set it down. Like, you look through the cards, pick the one that signifies the question, and then you do your spread around that, and then it goes into your reading. I do not. I don't have anything for it. I don't have anything against it. It's just not a practice that I do. Do you prefer to use spreads, or do you read freeform? I'm not strict and rigid. I do use spreads. I have a relationship spread that I like to use when people have relationship questions, and then I'll listen to the question and then I'll pick a spread based on the question. Sometimes you just need a 3-card spread. Sometimes just a 1-card will get this, the intuitive side going. But I mainly use a 4-card spread, the Celtic Cross, and I have a 4-card relationship spread that I like to use. What is your birth card? I don't know. I looked it up online, and so let me look this up. I feel like I'm missing out on something by not knowing what my birth card is. So I went to this website, paranormality.com, and on it, it says my birth cards are the Hanged Man and the Empress for my birthday. I'm a New Year's baby. And so, to me, the Hanged Man, to me, is the mystic. He's the revolutionary. He's so far ahead of his time, but he's being of service and caring to people, and I really hope that I do embody that energy. And then when you have the 3 of Empress, but the problem with him is he becomes a martyr. And so I think it's wonderful that I also have that 3 of Empress, because she seems very practical and tangible. She's weaving something in the card that was shown there for me, and she's bringing it to the real life, and she could perhaps protect him from becoming that martyr, as long as you use your gifts in a creative, practical way to also help people. I mean, that resonates with me. What is your favorite tarot card? I don't know. I don't have a favorite tarot card per se. I love, in the Osho deck, there's a breakthrough card. I love that card. I love the transformation card in the Osho deck, which is like the Burning Tower card or whatever it is in the Rider-Waite deck. I love revolutionary change, spontaneous insight, those things that thwart you off your saddle and make you have to really regroup and really get in the moment and do something revolutionary and different. What deck are you currently working with at present? I am working with the Thoth deck, and I'm working with the Osho Zen Tarot deck. And I love the Osho deck. I highly recommend it. What is your least favorite tarot deck? I hate to be disparaging to any deck. I do have this Voyager tarot deck that doesn't resonate with me completely superbly, but I'm actually thinking of using that deck to make it like kind of found art, where I'm going to leave tarot cards around the city with tags on them so people can take pictures and tag that they found it and see my website. And when they pick up that card, they're going to get a reading from my website. That's kind of the idea I want to do with that deck. I bought the deck and it doesn't resonate with me, but I still feel it needs to be used in some way. And I plan on giving this deck away 1 card at a time through my blog. What is your cheekiest deck? I have a zombie deck. And I also have these cool, I don't know what, Neil Leonard, I don't know who it is, this pack, this fortune-telling pack that I got in Oslo, Norway. The zombie deck, I love it. It's really interesting to do readings with that. It's kind of easier to do readings with that sometimes because you don't take things so seriously and you can really get into the symbolism. I don't know why, when you see a zombie eating brains, I know what that means so much more than some of the thought things sometimes. Do you own any self-published decks? I don't know what that means or what that is, so I do not. I would love to self-publish a deck myself. I'd love to. I'm really inspired by that Wild on No deck. I am going to learn how to draw. I am going to make my own tarot deck one day. What is your tarot pet peeve? I think I'm too green and new at this to have any big, things against tarot. I mean, there's nothing wrong with tarot itself. If there's somebody being a faulty reader, that's a horrible thing. So, as long as we're being of service to people and being kind and helping them through something and giving them wonderful, intuitive advice, whatever. That's all. I don't really have any pet peeves. Do you believe that you can give an accurate reading on a matter you're heavily invested in? I do not. It's like asking a surgeon to do surgery on himself. It's like, the doctor isn't his own doctor. A dentist doesn't perform dentistry on himself or herself. I find it very hard to do tarot readings for myself in terms of real question out readings. I mean, I can do it, I think, but there's too much subjective desire in the outcome. I'm a human, and so it's just the way it is. I think, so when it comes to divination and tarot for myself, the tarot is not the tool for me to answer questions for myself. I get more answers from astrology because I deeply understand and connect with astrology, and I get way better answers divination-wise from the I Ching for myself. Have you studied numerology? I have read books on numerology. Yes. Have I studied Kabbalah? No, but the Thoth deck has a lot of Kabbalah symbolism, and I'm hoping the book that I have on that will teach me a little bit more about it. Astrology, yes. I'm a semi-pro astrologer. Semi-pro means you get some money from doing something you like. So if you're in a band and you actually make some money from being in a band, you're semi-pro. If you make your full-time wage at doing something, you're a professional. I'm not a professional astrologer. I am definitely working toward being a professional astrologer. What is your opinions on tarot and divination? I don't know, I feel like that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, I feel, to me, tarot, astrology, this is all divinary. Nobody has carte blanche on what these symbols mean and how to interpret them. To me, like, these are divinary tools. That's what I think. That's how I come to it. That's my approach to it. These are divinary tools. I know when I was listening to Avalon's Spiritual Odysseys, her take on divination, she didn't think these were divinary tools, and she says a good reading can have a side effect of being divinary, but I don't know. I mean, these are the instruments that I have to probe the collective unconsciousness, the supermind, the non-logical world, and kind of sift some of those down into my normal consciousness and hopefully raise me up a few vibrations by doing so and give me insights that I wouldn't have otherwise. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm not understanding or connecting with the question, but tarot is divinary to me. I mean, we're getting answers from it. We're getting insights from it. It's helping me collect my thoughts. It's helping me figure out a path. It's helping me understand the mood of a day. Yeah. Have you ever lost or damaged a tarot deck? No. Have you ever inspired another to want to learn tarot? No, I kind of feel like a hermit in this field. Do you use tarot in conjunction with any other esoteric divinary tools? Well, if I'm doing a tarot reading, I don't. I use tarot. I think it would be helpful to use the I Ching. It's so weird. The tarot I can do for other people, and can't really do for myself. The I Ching I can do for me, but I don't know how comfortable I feel doing it for other people. I do, of course, study astrology, but it's really hard to do astrology in a session unless the person has their birth time ahead of time. You need the exact birth time to do that accurately for a person. Would a personally tarot no-no, something that crosses the boundaries of your personal code of ethics? I accidentally left this one out. However, for me, I never had read for minors. I never read for a person that is not aware of reading, i.e. third-party persons, and I never talk of death or hopeless matters. My readings are to inspire, not to disturb. God, I hate to have any boundaries. You got to do the right thing at the right time, at the right moment, every time. If a matter talks about talking about death, you might have to talk about it. I haven't done that. Maybe I don't have any boundaries because I haven't received a lot of tarot readings. Even the ones that I thought were bad, when I reflect on them, they gave me pertinent information. It's just like you have to take that advice and figure out how it plugs in sometimes. So is there any real no-nos? I mean, I can't say. Would I ever read for a minor? I've never, probably not. That does seem weird, but it's never crossed my idea to do that for a minor, or I would do my astrology chart for my son, but I don't know if I'd read a spread for him but I might, a reading for a third-party person that they don't know of. I definitely agree with not doing reading for other people without their permission. I agree with that. My readings, hopeless matters. I don't know. With tarot, I don't really feel like there's tons of yes/no answers. So I don't have a ton of no-nos. If you could give one piece of tarot advice to another, perhaps a beginner, what would it be? If you're beginning tarot, it's exactly how I feel. I don't believe in doing all these hokey things with the cards physically, but what I do believe in is a daily reading. You need to pull a card daily in the beginning, for at least 3 months. You got to pick a time. You got to stick to it every day, because you need to build a rapport with that deck and the symbolism in that deck. And really, it's really strange. If you just do a card of the day, 6 months later, you're doing a card every day, and somebody asks you to do a reading, do a Celtic cross spread and see what you get, because you're going to have such a knowledge of that deck, and you're going to already have seen it, and you're going to already have such a good rapport with it that you'll find, even if you've never done a reading before, it's almost like that was the practice for the reading. You know the deck, you've created a rapport, you're connected, and now you can just let it flow. So definitely do a card of the day. And that's it. Those are the 29 questions as posted by Avalon's Spiritual Odyssey. I loved her video. I think it's very positive. Can't wait to check out some other people's videos, and I just think it's kind of community building. So I love the fact that we can connect through this, and thank you so much. My name's Nicholas, and you can watch my daily astrology and tarot horoscope videos on my page. But yeah, that's it.